I don't know if any of you have ever taken a big swallow of lake water when you're out for a swim. I've done it many times, but the most recent was up at Lake Tahoe. What a great time we had at fellowship and worship, meals together, some great sunsets. But everyone felt like the wind could have been a little less strong in the afternoons when we were trying to enjoy the waterfront. And on Sunday, I was enjoying the rolling waves. I was out beyond the dock. I had a face mask on so that I could go down and just, when you're under the water, you don't even know the wind is happening. You just see the beautiful sunlit sandy bottom and the scattered rocks, and it's just a beautiful spot. But when I came up and was looking for the ladder, a big wave came and hit me right in mid-breath, and I swallowed a good portion of Lake Tahoe right in that moment that left me coughing, and forced me to think and remind myself, no, that was a fantastic experience. That was beautiful. The water felt good. The sights were amazing. But right at the end, I had that moment. I don't know if anybody got through Psalm 119 yesterday. I had to finish it this morning. The longest chapter in the Bible, 176 verses. And when you read through it, you find that the psalmist must have really, really loved God's word. And not just God's word, but the laws in God's word, the commands. Over and over and over, the psalmist says, I love God's commands, God's precepts, God's statutes, God's word, God's law. There's about 8 different synonyms for the laws that God gives. And the psalmist must have really loved it to write a verse for every letter of the Hebrew alphabet, all the way through that chapter, 176 verses. And all through there, I found the psalmist, it talks about how much he loves to obey God, how much he loves to follow God, how much he is walking in the ways of righteousness in God's statutes. Until the very, very last verse, which I think is interesting. The very last verse, verse 176, right after he says, I long to walk in your ways, Lord, let me live that I may praise you. The very last verse says, I have strayed like a lost sheep. Seek your servant, for I have not forgotten your commands. And it was, as I went back through there, I realized that was the only place where the psalmist admitted that he's got weakness in how he follows, and ends with that point. But then when you look at the Psalms that are coming up, Psalm 120 and 121, 123, all of them are, I call on the Lord for he delivers me in distress. I lift up the name of the Lord. I lift my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? And it seems to move into a series of Psalms where the psalmist needs help. And perhaps because of where Psalm 119 left off. Almost as if the psalmist got a mouthful of water and needed to be reminded that God's salvation was real. But there's even the psalmist knew before Jesus that God's mercy was strong enough to meet him in this moment of weakness, and still for him to be able to declare and claim how much he loves God's law. And you can't love God's law as much as the psalmist claims to love it unless he also knows God's mercy when he doesn't, which is just a great reminder of that give and take of God's law, and as Jesus calls himself, the fulfillment of that law, the grace and the mercy to be able to live into that with joy once again every day as we fail, as we return to God. It's that coming and going that causes there to be a relationship. And that's what I pray for you this morning. I pray for myself that we can walk in that give and take of obedience and failure and mercy and love that comes from God. Hope you have a fantastic day. And if you haven't had a chance to get through Psalm 119, there's still time. Encourage you to read that right to the end and to know God's mercy today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.